The Belmont Stakes, presented by Naira Bets. Belmont Stakes 154. It's almost upon us. A field of 8. I think you have to say headed by the Kentucky Derby winner, Rich Strike. Best way to play it? You know the drill. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, now's the time to join. Use the promo code Belmont25, free $25 bet, as well as we'll match up to $200 of your initial deposit. And while Rich Strike is the third choice in the morning line at 7-2, and I think it's a bit up in the air who's going to be favored, and I don't think he'll be favored, but I wouldn't be shocked if he is. I think the conversation has to begin with him, and we'll show you his sort of electrifying performance winning the Kentucky Derby. And down on the inside, just getting this great ride by rider Sonny Leone. I read Ortiz, totally understandable, took an outside route, lost a little more ground with Mo Donegal. I think Mo Donegal, towards the outside, was a bit encumbered by Barber Road outside of him. He eventually outfinished that one, but Rich Strike outfinished everybody in this race. Just a remarkable run by this 80-1 shot, and a horse that really could have been 200-1 in the race. So what do you do with him going forward? Because this is a completely different scenario. Even if you knew that Rich Strike was that horse, you'd say, well, now he's got to go a longer distance in a race that's usually more conducive to horses that are forwardly placed. Perhaps the horse to beat is the main speed in the race. There's no way there's going to be the kind of supersonic pace in the Belmont Stakes there was in the Derby. So even then, you'd probably be playing against him. You go back to when Orb won the Derby in a meltdown. Look at who won the next two races. The only speed to run back, Oxbow wins the Preakness. The horse who set the pace wins the Belmont. Pace makes the race, and he benefited from it. But it's important to note that so did Mo Donegal, who's the morning line second choice, and so did Barber Road. Rich Strike might be a horse that just improved with distance and time, because he hadn't been on the dirt since not breaking his maiden race back in December. So maybe he was improving. A lot of things worked in his favor getting there. He's a total wild card. He's not a horse that I would ever play, and because of the story and the Derby, he's going to be an underlay. But I don't want to completely dismiss him because I think he can win. As far as Mo Donegal, I kind of think he's the horse to beat. And it's fair to say, here he is winning the Wood Memorial, Skippy Longstock. He was back in here, finished third. And of course, in this race, great ride, great trip or not, he ran down early voting who came back to win the Preakness, and he beat him fair and square. Mo Donegal has a larger resume of good performances than Rich Strike does. So even though it's fair to argue that Rich Strike ran a better race than him in the Derby, I think Mo Donegal is more reliable. However, he too, a bit pace compromised. Todd Pletcher's the wild card, though, and he's an important wild card in this Belmont Stakes because he has such an amazing record in the Belmont Stakes. Not only the 3 wins, but horses like Commissioner, Destin, horses, the Bluegrass Cat, that finished second, that outran their odds. He knows the right horses to bring to the Belmont, and he knows how to get them there. So for that reason, I respect Mo Donegal a great deal in here. I don't want to bet a deeper closer, though, in a race with the pace a bit murky at around 5-2 or 2-1. I just don't see it as betting value, but I do understand the argument that he's the horse to beat in here, though a lot of people are going to tell you that this is the horse to beat, and that's we the people, and I totally get this. A distant second to him is Golden Glider. This is the Peter Pan. He got a 103 buyer. It's a buyer figure. There's only 3 triple-digit buyers near Rich Strike and Creative Minister, who we'll get to, and it's his last start. He's the controlling speed. There are a lot of things to like about this horse. To me, he's the horse that I'm going to make a decision about, and I'm going to go we the people in here. Because as well as he ran his first 2 starts, and I'm totally willing to give him a pass for the Arkansas Derby, coming back in just 3 weeks after his second win, acted up that day, not a good trip, you can dismiss it. The problem is he can't win this race based on his first 2 races. Now, he's a better horse than that. That's fair. But that was a good sealed track that was closer to a sloppy sealed track. And I think there's a fair argument that it helped carry the speed. And it just seems to me to be one of these performances you'll sometimes see on wet sealed tracks that are dramatically exaggerated. And the speed figure's right. But it's not a performance you can rely on him to run back to. And the good news is, maybe not for him, but the good news overall is it's not going to rain on Saturday. So excuse me, he's not going to get that favorable wet track that people might have thought he was going to get. And I think that might end up making him not the favorite. I totally get the argument. He could be the speed, he can control and wire the field. If that's what you feel, have at it. I think he's vulnerable in here because I don't really think he's necessarily the horse we saw last time at a short price in this 1.5-mile race, speed or not. I don't want him. And I think there's a horse that might be a better horse than him that's going to be within stalking distance, sitting second or third, and that's Creative Minister. And Creative Minister is also going to be 2 or 3 times the price. that We the People is. This is Creative Minister. Actually, this is the Preakness. You kind of caught me off guard there. He's finishing third in here, and I don't know exactly where he is, but he's in there. And he got 100 buyer in this race, finishing third, early voting at Epicenter, running very, very well. But he stayed on to run third. And in a way, his PPs remind me of early votings. Early voting was a horse whose buyer figures improved with every single race he ran. Creative Minister, 76 in his debut, 83 in his second start, 96 in his third start, 100 in his fourth start. Has the speed to make a trip for himself. Kenny McPeak, by the way, upset this field with this race with a 70-1 shot 20 years ago, for whatever that's worth, which is probably nothing. It's just a great achievement, I guess. He beat me. I like Creative Minister here. To me, he's the improving horse. He is not going to be compromised by the pace, and more importantly, he's going to be 5 to 8 to 1. So I think in a race like this where I don't have a strong opinion, and I can't feel like I'm standing on super concrete ground, I can make a case for this horse, and his price, I think, will be commensurate, if not better, to his chances to win. And then there's Nest. And I think Nest is a very important horse to talk about in here. This is her second place finish in the Kentucky Oaks. I thought she got an unbelievably great ride by Outright Ortiz this day, and she was simply second best to Secret Oath. And Secret Oath, for what it's worth, came back and was fourth in the Preakness. But to be fair, Secret Oath did not get a good trip in the Preakness, and she ran better than it looks. The problem is that Nest's best two buyers are 92 and 91, and they're not good enough to win here. They're not really good enough to give her a big sniff. But you've got Todd Pletcher running a filly in the Belmont, and Todd's not taking shots. When Rags to Riches won the Belmont, yes, Rags to Riches came into the race with a much more impressive resume, and she was a faster horse. She was also running against Curlin and Hardspun. So she was going to have to beat monumentally better horses than Nest is going to run against. And I think it's kind of an interesting irony that she's a daughter of Curlin, and Curlin was the horse that Rags to Riches beat in the Belmont. I don't really like Nest on her PPs, but I have great respect for Todd Pletcher and the success he's had here, and I won't be surprised when she outruns her PPs. And if she's around the 8 to 1 morning line, and it's so hard to know for sure the race, I don't think she's the worst horse to at least use protectively in here. My picks, I've got the 5 Creative Minister on top, the number 6 Mo Donegal, my second choice, the number 3 Nest, my third choice, and Rich Strike is my fourth choice. But I like Creative Minister in this Belmont Stakes, and I'll be betting him. And you know where I'll be betting him? Exactly where you should be betting. Naira Bets. Head on over to nairabets.com if you're not a member. Use the promo code Belmont25. We will match up to $200 of your initial deposit, as well as giving you a free $25 bet for this Belmont Stakes. Enjoy the 154th running of the Belmont Stakes, presented by Naira Bets.